Zoom coverage. We are now commencing the state of Florida versus Derek Rosa. Originally, we had set it today for a status conference, but I am informed that Mr. Rosa wishes to change his plea.
Correct.
Okay.
Va a cambiar
Do
su
I have a
declaración.
plea waiver form?
We have, Your Honor. The state has reviewed it at my approach.
If you would. And of course, I ask for these because not only does it contain all of the rights, but it also lays out the negotiated plea with the state.
Hay acuerdo, sí que Derek Rosa se va a declarar culpable, confirmado. Derek Rosa se va a declarar culpable, un acuerdo de culpabilidad.
No, Judge.
Okay,
It's ready.
I'm going to ask that Derek Rosa, please raise your right hand. My clerk will administer the oath.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. State if I miss anything in the colloquy, please let me know, or in this sentence, please let me know.
Yes, Judge.
All right. Would you prefer that I call you Derek or Mr. Rosa? What are you more comfortable with?
Derek is fine now.
Okay, thank you. I've sworn you under oath. Your lawyers tell me that you wish to change your plea today, and that requires me to talk to you for a while. Okay? I'm going to ask that you respond to my questions out loud and in full words. Are you good with that? Okay, good. If at any time you have any questions, just, raise your hand or say so. I'll let you talk with Ms. Riello so that we satisfy whatever your questions are. Okay? All right. Now, some of these questions are going to sound dumb, but work with me because I'm required to ask them in the way that I ask them. Okay? All right. For starters, are you Derek Rosa, who was born on August 26, 2010?
Yes.
Good. I have to establish that I'm the right person. Okay? And you are the defendant that's charged in this case, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good. Are you under the influence of any alcohol or drugs as you sit there right now?
No, Your Honor.
Do you take any medications that would keep you from understanding what's going on around you?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask, are you taking any medications now?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. I know that you're 15 years old. I know that you were in the 8th grade when you first came into the jail, but you've been getting classes with Miami-Dade teachers since you've been with us, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good. Because I need to inquire as to whether you feel comfortable reading and writing the English language. Do you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. And I ask that because I've got this acknowledgement and waiver of rights form that I have right here. And it looks like it's got your signature on it. Did you sign this?
Yes, Your Honor.
And normally when I see a document that's signed by somebody, it means to me that you've read it, that you understand it, and what you didn't understand, you would have asked your lawyer about. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, good. It also means I'm not going to read the whole thing out loud because as you'll learn in life, you sign it, you own it. Okay. But this is an acknowledgement and waiver of rights form. It talks about the rights that you give up when you enter a plea of guilty, like you're doing right now. But I'm going to go over some of them with you. Let me get to that in a minute. Have you had enough time to talk with your lawyers about what we're doing here today and about your case? Have they answered all of your questions?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you happy with the work that's been done for you by your lawyers in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Yes, they've done a lot. They've done a lot of work, a lot of hard work for you. Now, you were indicted by a grand jury for first-degree murder. The state and your lawyers have worked out an arrangement where your plea here today would be to the charge of second-degree murder. And they have proposed that they're going to ask me, if you plead guilty to that charge, to sentence you to 25 years in the Florida State Prison with all credit for time served. That would be followed by 20 years of probation. Now, this form says 20 years reporting, but is it going to be 10 and 10?
Yes, Judge. It's going to be 10 years reporting probation, followed by 10 years administrative probation.
Got it. I'll explain that now. Yes, it'd be 20 years of probation, but the first 10 years would be where you report to a probation officer once a month. And a special condition on that is when you get out of jail, you'll report to court, or the probation officer will put it on in court, and the judge will appoint a doctor or two to do a complete psychological examination of you and recommend any treatment. If the treatment is for residential, that'll be limited to 6 months, okay? Because we're not going to put you in some other place to be incarcerated. But I think it's important that doctors get a look at you when you get out to see what, if any, treatment you need. So that's going to be a condition of the first 10 years of probation. After 10 years, the next 10 years of probation will be what we call administrative or non-reporting. As one condition, don't get arrested. Okay? Do you understand this plea? The 25 followed by 10 and 10?
Yes, no.
Okay. Has anybody promised you that something different than that was going to happen if you pled guilty?
No.
Is anybody forcing you, threatening you, or making you enter this plea against your will?
No, they won't.
Okay. All right. I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the rights that you're waiving when you plead guilty. And those are all the rights that are part of the trial. Because you have a right to go forward to a trial with your lawyers there next to you, fighting hard for you. You have the right to go to this trial and have a jury decide if you're guilty or not. At a trial, the state would be held to the burden or the task. Their job would be to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest standard that we give to a jury in the United States. That's part of the rights, the lawyer, the jury, the heightened standard, and your lawyers would have the opportunity to confront and question all the witnesses that are presented against you, basically to test the evidence, if you would. Do you understand these rights?
Yes, no.
Okay. At a trial, you would have the right to testify if you wanted to and explain yourself. You would have the right to bring in witnesses and tell your side of the story. If you decided not to present witnesses or testify, you could assert your right to remain silent, and I would tell a jury they could not hold your silence against you. Do you understand these rights?
Yes, no.
Okay. And finally, if you were found guilty at a trial and you received a sentence, you would have the right to take the case to a higher court where it's reviewed by 3 judges who look at everything we've done here to determine whether any mistakes were made that would require a new trial. We call that an appeal. So all of these things I'm talking about, appeals, juries, confrontation, lawyers, reasonable doubt, all of these things are protections that you get by way of a trial. Because generally speaking, we don't want people to get found guilty if they're not guilty. So we put all these safety things in place to try and be as certain as we can. But those are your rights as part of a trial. If we do this plea, we're not going to have a trial, and you give those rights up. Do you understand that? Okay. If you are not a United States citizen, the entry of this plea subjects you to deportation to your native country. Do you understand? If you get in trouble again, this case could be used against you to make your next case, if you were to come back with another case, it could make your next case more serious, either by the degree of the offense or by the amount of time you could be forced to serve in jail. Do you understand that? Okay. I'm required to ask this one. If this is a sexually violent or sexually motivated offense, or if you've ever been convicted of an offense like that, you will be reviewed at the end of your prison sentence for potential commitment as a civil sexual offender. Do you understand? Okay. Is there anything additional that the state believes should be asked as part of the colloquy of the defendant under the rules?
Yes, Judge, just a few things. One of the requested conditions is that as part of probation, that the defendant have no contact with Frank Ramos and Frank Ramos's daughter by the initials AR. That would be a condition of reporting probation and administrative probation.
Okay. Any other conditions that I missed?
As for our conditions, no, I do have the score sheet and the information to file when the court.
You're right. I did not mention that. Let me do those 2 things now, and then I'll cover anything else that I missed. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. One of the things I missed when I talked to you about what the sentence was is that one of the conditions of the probation is going to be a no contact order. and you heard with Frank Ramos or the minor child. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, because that's a part of this plea. And also, I am required to inform you through the course of this, and I just left it out, that someone charged like you are with this offense could face anywhere from 246 months, which is, as I get it, 20 years, 20 and a half years, up to life in prison. Okay? That's what we call our guidelines range. And also, if you were to violate your probation, you would be subject, depending on what happens, up to a life in prison sentence. So those are the guidelines ranges, 246 months up to life. Anything else needed to be done in this colloquy, sir?
No, Judge, can I pass forward those documents?
You sure can.
Thank you. And the information has been signed and sworn to.
All right, so I've gone over all these rights. The state has filed a new information with a second-degree murder. Do you waive any defects in the form of this, Ms. Riello or Mr. Lopez?
No, Judge.
Okay, thank you. And I will ask you at this time, would you like to enter a plea of guilty to the charge of murder? Well, you know what? Need a factual basis now, or I'm going to ask you this. Do you wish to enter a plea of guilty to the charge of murder in the second degree with a weapon?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask the prosecutor if he would present to us now a factual basis for this plea.
Yes, Judge. On October 12th, 2023, the body of Irina García was discovered in her bedroom. Ms. Garcia was discovered to have had multiple stab wounds to her body, to include her back, her facial area, her neck, and her throat. The medical examiner determined that the cause of death was multiple stab wounds and the manner of death was homicide. The investigation led to the defendant, Derek Rosa. Derek Rosa was, in fact, the person who contacted 911 to report the killing.
Por un momento se fue el audio.
¿45 45 años, los cuales 25 los cumplirá en cárcel, a ver si cualifica para una audiencia de probatoria, la cual será de 20 años, los cuales 10 van a ser a través de un oficial de probatoria y los últimos 10 dentro de corte, reportándose cada X tiempo.
Sin posibilidad de ver la niña, ¿cierto? Sin posibilidad para acercarse a la
niña ni a Frank, ni a Frank tampoco. Y si viola la probatoria, ¿ah?
Se chavó.
Oh, si viola si viola la probatoria, puede coger vida.
No
Puede coger
solamente,
vida.
no solamente si viola la probatoria
The handle
se
of the
puede
knife
violar.
and that. So that would be some of the evidence that the state would submit to a jury should we proceed to trial.
Okay. Derek, you have heard what Mr. Boris just said was the evidence that they would intend to produce at a trial, and evidence that you were the person who killed Irina Garcia, your mother. Is what he told me accurate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, that's what I needed to know from you, because I want to make sure that we have a proper factual basis and that you're admitting your guilt in this case. Yeah, it's back on now. Okay, let me ask, is there, before I work on this sentence, is there anyone else who wishes to be heard on this matter from either side?
Your Honor, sometimes courts would like to hear from next of kin before imposing sentence. Would the court like to proceed that way?
I would.
All right. Judge, present in the courtroom is Frank Ramos. if he could step forward with the
Okay.
court's permission.
We have
And
an-
I know we had ordered an interpreter. Is the interpreter still present or?
Vamos a escuchar a Fran Ramos
Welcome
dar
to
unas
Miami-Dade
pequeñas
County.
declaraciones.
Ms. Rizzo, do you think
Utilizar
we
un
might find an
intérprete.
interpreter?
Yes, Judge, I'll check in with them again.
While we're doing that, Judge, I do have a letter that was written by the father of Irina García. He's asked that I read it to the court if we want to use that time for me to publish that letter.
That'd be fine, sir.
Okay.
Quiero ampliar la imagen de Derek Rosa.
May I proceed, Judge?
You may, sir.
This is a letter written by Irina Garcia's father. His name is Francisco Garcia Acosta, and he is unable to be here today as he lives in Camagüey, Cuba. So reading the letter, my name is Francisco Garcia Acosta. I live in Camagüey Province, Cuba, and I am the father of Irina Garcia Acosta. My daughter was very attached to me from a young age, just as my granddaughter is with her father, Frank. She has the same qualities as her mother, very loving. I have another son who I love equally. She also loved her brother and her mother very much. In 1992, her mother and I divorced, but I always maintained communication and provided for them equally. In 2006, Irina went with her mother to the U.S. through a lottery program when she was 21 years old. She always remained the same loving and affectionate person towards me. From the moment she arrived in that country, she worked and strived to improve herself to help her mother. When she had her son Derek, she was never separate from him except when she was working. She adored her son. She was an exemplary mother, very concerned about him. She raised him well and was always attentive to him, his studies, and his grades. She always treated him well and set a good example for him. Derek was a child loved by the whole family. There's no way to describe it. For her, for Irina, her son was everything. They adored each other. I am deeply affected by what happened. I have suffered 2 heart attacks and now in very delicate health. However, I have been following the case with Frank, who keeps me informed and allows me to see my granddaughter, which I will be eternally grateful for because I know he loves my granddaughter very much and she is very well cared for and in good hands. That gives me peace of mind. I earnestly ask the American justice system to bring justice for my daughter and to finally resolve this case and not prolong this process any further. My daughter did not deserve to die in such a horrific crime. May whoever is responsible pay for their actions so that she can rest in peace. It is very difficult for a father to express everything he feels in a case like this, losing a daughter or son in this way, but I know that my feeling is justice must be served, and I do trust in the American justice system. Sincerely, Francisco Garcia Acosta.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that you wanted to present?
Perfect.
With the services of our interpreter?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah.
This gentleman will need your services. Is the defense all right with this being done unsworn?
Yes.
Thank you. Sir, could you tell me your name?
Fran Ramos.
Sir, you're free to tell me anything you wish to with regard to this case.
Sí, señor juez. Mis palabras son hacia Derek Rosa.
Yes, Your Honor, my words are for Derek Rosa.
Yo soy Fran Ramos, tu padrastro, Derek.
Derek, I'm Frank Ramos, your stepfather.
Para mí, tú fuiste como un hijo.
For me, you were like a son.
Éramos una familia muy unida.
We were a very close-knit family.
One second.
Just a second, please.
Fran Ramos está emocionado, está conmovido, es lógico, hasta yo. Escuchen cómo se le quiebra la voz a Fran Ramos en este momento.
Sí.
Es una pena que no puedan ver la imagen de Fran Ramos.
Tu mamá fue una madre amorosa y dedicada, una excelente persona. Su partida destruyó nuestra familia y cambió mi vida para siempre.
Your mom was a loving mother, dedicated and an excellent person. Losing her destroyed our family and changed our life forever.
Después de esta tragedia, me quedé solo cuidando a tu hermanita.
After this tragedy, I was left alone taking care of your little sister
De apenas 14 días de nacido.
of only 14 days of having been born.
Dios le dé fortaleza a Fran Ramos para poder terminar su discurso.
En medio de un dolor muy profundo.
In the midst of a very deep pain.
Durante estos 2 años, también he sido difamado y acosado.
After these 2 years, or during these 2 years, I have also suffered defamation and stalking,
Lo que ha afectado gravemente mi tranquilidad y mi vida personal.
which has greatly affected my peace of mind and my personal life.
Nada puede justificar lo que hiciste,
Nothing justifies what you did,
ni devolvernos a tu madre.
or give us your mother back.
Pero creo firmemente que debes asumir la responsabilidad y pagar las consecuencias de tus actos, conforme a la ley, conforme a la ley.
But I strongly believe that you should assume the responsibility and pay the consequences of your own actions, according to the law.
Digo esto con respeto, pero con la verdad de mi dolor.
And I'm saying this respectfully, but with the truth of my pain.
Es todo lo que tengo que decir.
That's all I have to say.
Gracias.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I have a few photos I wanted to show the court, if the court is okay with that.
Sure.
Frank, I'm showing a photo of you and Irina.
Yeah.
What were you celebrating here?
Estamos celebrando la bienvenida a la niña que iba a nacer.
We were celebrating the baby that was about to be born. We were welcoming the baby.
And then I have 2 other photos. Frank,
Las siguientes fotografías
is this Irina and your daughter?
es esta Irina y tu hija.
Sí, esa es Ashley, la niña mía de Irina.
Yes, that's Ashley, my daughter with Irina.
And what are you celebrating here for Ashley?
Estaba celebrándole a
El cumpleaños de la niña,
her birthday.
2 years old.
2 años.
2 años.
2 years old.
Thank you, Judge.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you, Mr. Ramos.
Gracias, señor.
Gracias.
Is there anything further that the state wants to present?
No, Judge. That's all.
Is there anything further from the defense?
No, Judge.
Okay. And Derek, you have a right to, we call it allocute, but you have the right to say anything that you want to say at this point, if you have anything that you wish to say to the court. Your choice, sir.
I'm sorry.
Lo único que Derek dijo fue I'm sorry.
All right.
Wow.
Is there anything further that we need to do before, any legal grounds or factual that would preclude entry of sentence at this time?
No, Judge.
All right.
Judge, I would ask that because there's a period of probation following the incarceration, I would ask the court to waive the cost of supervision.
I'll do that for several years. All right. Okay, I'm going to abide by the agreement that your lawyers worked out here. Okay. And bring this case now to a conclusion. I'm going to enter a sentence. I adjudicate you guilty of a second-degree murder. I sentence you to 25 years in the Florida State Prison with all credit for time served. That would be back to October 12, 2023. That prison period will be followed by 20 years of probation. The first 10 years will be supervised probation, what we call reporting probation. I'll waive cost of supervision for the first 5 years. After that, it'll be $25 per month. A special condition of that probation will be that when you are released from custody, from the prison sentence, your probation officer will place this case on the calendar before whatever judge happens to be here, and they will be permitted, if they wish, to order up some doctors, to appoint some doctors to evaluate you and your psychological condition, and that you will undergo whatever mental health treatment is required, including but not limited to residential treatment up to but not exceeding 6 months. Because we're not going to keep you forever, but if they believe that it's necessary, some judge in the future will be allowed to do that on your probation. The second 10 years of probation will be what we call non-reporting. You won't have to report to a probation officer. You won't have to pay any money. You just have to not get arrested. Okay. I'm required by law to impose, I'm going to guess it's $603 of court cost in this case. I do so at this time. And there's also, as a condition of the probation, a stay away order from Frank Ramos and the minor child, whose initials are AR. Anything else that I missed?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. And I'm going to take the liberty. Where's my interpreter? Ma'am, take that microphone there. I noticed that if you would interpret this, please. I noticed that we have 275 participants on our Zoom screen.
Noto que tenemos 275 participantes en nuestra pantalla de la plataforma digital Zoom.
And there has been considerable interest in this case whenever we've had hearings.
Y he notado que hemos tenido un notable interés en este caso cada vez que tenemos audiencias.
And I just want to make this observation as we close this case.
I'm sorry.
I want to make this observation as we close this case.
Y quiero hacer esta observación mientras estamos cerrando este caso.
The quality of advocacy on both sides of this case, the quality of the lawyers,
La calidad de las defensas de este caso de ambas partes, la calidad de los abogados,
has been excellent.
ha sido excelente.
Our system is set up so that we try and get to the bottom of what's going on in a case and establish what the facts are.
Nuestro sistema está creado para que podamos indagar y llegar siempre a los hechos en el caso y poder determinarlos.
With the end result, we hope, being a fair and just resolution of a case.
Para poder arribar a lo que siempre esperamos sea una solución justa y verdadera en cada caso.
These lawyers have worked hard to get there. These lawyers have worked very hard to get there.
Estos abogados han trabajado muy duro para llegar hasta ese punto.
On both sides.
De ambos lados, de ambas partes.
And I believe this resolution is appropriate.
Y yo considero que esta solución es apropiada.
This case is now closed.
Este
Okay,
caso queda pues cerrado.
I remand him to the custody of the Florida Department of Corrections.
Y pues le encomiendo a la custodia del Departamento de Correccionales.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anything further before the court?
Yes, Judge, and
Yes, sir.
without objection from the state, I will send a proposed order, understanding that the court can recommend a local facility, but it's not binding on Department of Corrections for one of the youth facilities.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm hopeful that the regulations call for his placement in what we would know as a youthful offender facility, even though it will not be as a Chapter 958 sentence.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else?
That's it, Your Honor.
Derek, good luck. All right, Division 13 will be in recess.